Okay, so tonight we'll be going over deployment, which is where we take the projects that we've been building in our own development environment and we're getting them out there onto the internet. Uh, to do that, we'll be using a service called Heroku. So we'll be going over what is Heroku, how to create a Heroku app in the command line interface, getting our code ready for deployment, deploying it, and then, woo, profit. So first off, what is Heroku? So Heroku is what's called a platform as a service. What that basically means is they charge businesses, individuals, to host their web applications, which is different from hosting a website, because with a website you're just returning a HTML document, whereas this is actually using processing power to uh, handle requests and respond to them. One key thing to remember about the cloud is the cloud doesn't really exist. It's just someone else's computer. So it was launched in 2007, and originally it only supported Ruby backend applications. Now it supports most things. I'm not sure if it supports everything. There might be a few fringe languages. But the reason why we are recommending to use this for your first deployment is it has a very generous free tier, which I'll go over as we start using it. Um, Another thing is you have a choice. You can either use a graphical interface to set things up, or you can use the command line interface. For tonight, I'll be going over the command line interface because the graphical interface is pretty much self-explanatory, just lots of pointing and clicking. So this is the Heroku website. As you can see, I have deployed lots of different things. Most of them are asleep right now because no one's using them, which is one of the things about the free tier. If nothing's using your application for an hour, it goes to sleep. And then the first time you send a request to it, it takes about 60 seconds to get it running again. But on the plus side, it's free. No, that doesn't take me to a homepage. But yeah, this is free to create a account on. You don't have to enter any payment information, but they do give you more stuff if you do, and they won't charge you. So for example, if let's have a look at my account settings. Billing? No, applications maybe. There is usually a setting that shows you how many free hours you get. So don't quote me, but I believe with the free tier, the basic, here we go. Just looking right at it. So what this is, so a dyno hour, Heroku refers to a container running your application as a dyno, and the free. Okay, so Heroku will deploy your application in a basically a Docker container, which it refers to as a dyno. Now, we're on the free tier. Without entering your payment details, you get 500 hours worth of uh, running a dyno per month. If you enter your card, you get double that, and it won't charge you. So it is worth doing. We can see I've used hardly anything, and it looks like most of my things have gone quiet, which is fair enough. They're all just me experimenting with stuff and then putting it on here and saying to everyone I know, hey, look at the thing I made, which, yeah, I definitely encourage you to do that. Right. So in order to use it, to use the command line interface, you will need to install it. So if you're on Mac, it's this brew tap Heroku brew and brew install Heroku. Easy enough. If you're on Ubuntu, it's the snap store again. So sudo snap install classic Heroku. And if you're on Windows, I've not done it on Windows myself, but the instructions are here. As usual, I will put this in the chat. Then once you've installed the command line interface, you need to log in, and you can either do it entirely through the command line with this Heroku login -i, or if you take the -i off, it will open a web browser and you can log in there. So because I've already done that and I can't really do it twice, you'll just have to take my word for those steps. We'll skip to creating the app. So creating the app is a bit like creating a GitHub repo. In fact, it does actually involve a GitHub repo. But we use the Heroku app and then the create command, and then we name the app here. If you leave this bit out, it will just generate a random name for you. So I've actually borrowed a backend application from someone else, and I'll have a go at deploying this. So like I was saying, the first thing I need to do is create the application. So this API is just a basic create, read, update, delete for cars, basically. And it uses a MySQL database, which we can also deploy through Heroku, and I'll go through those steps as well. So if I create the application, okay, so it's created that, and we can see we've got a URL here, and we've also got this URL for a Git repository as well. And then if I git remote, we can see it has added this Heroku remote to the Git in this project as well. Okay, and if I go over here, copy. It's created the URL, it's routed to where the app will be. All we need to do is just deploy it. Okay, so next step. Because we know we're going to need to add a database, Heroku has add-ons. Like Heroku itself, there's free versions and then there's versions you can pay for. So for a MySQL database, we can use this ClearDB on their Ignite tier, which is their way of naming their free tier. So I just type that here, Heroku, and I've already forgotten what the command was, add-ons, create, yeah. There we go. So that has created a database for us, and it's also stored it in the environment over on Heroku as ClearDB database URL. So that now gives us the credentials we'll need to connect to the database from the deployed app. Okay, and we can actually have a look at that information. So if I Heroku config, so these are all the environment variables that are inside my Heroku dyno, my Heroku container. I can see here, this is a MySQL connection string. It's basically username, password, IP address, and port all bundled into one string. which makes it easier to connect to rather than the way we've been doing it with the individual values in our app. Okay, now if I just jump ahead, the way we actually get our code into Heroku is through Git. So if I git push Heroku, we can see it's doing some stuff. So it's detected that it's a Node app. It's creating the environment, installing binaries. It's running npm install for us. Then it's building it into a image for us. It's getting rid of anything that's in the dev dependencies. Successful build. Okay, so that says my application is live. So if I go here and refresh it, so we've got a cannot get. That's actually to be expected because we haven't determined a get request to that route. But if I look at the logs with Heroku logs, okay, so it's currently running. That's good. So I think I'm probably going to need Postman. Yeah, we can see here, get request to root returns a 404 because there isn't anything mapped to root that's a get request. So the logs here actually tell you who's been accessing your application as well. Okay, so just going to have to remind myself how this works. Okay, so post a listing, and the body is going to be, I just moved something, didn't I? Let's move that back. That's what I'm looking for. So it's going to be post / listing body raw JSON. So what does this expect to receive? It wants img ref. So that is the URL of an image. Then it wants a make. So, and model. I'm going to remember that I'm on a different keyboard than usual eventually. So it's a Manchester Codes car. We're branching out. Year is 2020. So obviously it's not going to be a great car. And so we're going to sell it for.
Get free.
Well, that's expecting an integer. I suppose I could put a 0. Yeah, that's how numbers work, isn't it?
That's how valuable cars are in 2020.
Yeah. City is Manchester. Okay. email.
Cars at Manchester.
Okay, cars at manchestercodes.co.uk. I think that is correct. So if I send that, apparently that worked. Oh, I know why. Yeah. So there are some steps that you need to do to configure it. They were already done in this one. I undid them, but I didn't like commit them. So yeah, so we've got a fully working app. That's great. Let's go over the things we had to do to make it work. So some things we had to do. So we've added the database. Heroku needs to know how to set up and run the application when it starts up. It does that with this thing called a proc file. And it's a bit like the index.js, and we list which environment corresponds to which start command. So down here, we're saying for a web environment, run node index.js. So just run index.js in node.js. So let's restore that. I have a terminal somewhere. There we go. So echo, what's that? I think that was it. Yep, and then we just want to output that into proc file. There we go. So this is where Heroku will look when it starts up the app to decide what command it should run. Okay, the next thing we need to do. So Heroku decides which port is connected to the outside world in our container. So we can't actually just say it connects to port 3000. Instead, what we need to do is add this line that says we're going to listen to either whatever's in process.env.port, because that's where Heroku stores the port we're listening to, or if this doesn't exist, so if you're running it on your own computer, listen to port 3000 instead. So that is nice and easy. In fact, I can just undo those changes because I thought I'd show you it breaking first, but oh well, next time. It's my fault for borrowing an application from someone who knows what they're doing. Okay, and then once we've done that, we need to make some changes to how we connect to the database. So this is the index.js of your models. And so up to here is what we've been connecting to in our dev environment. So name, user, password, host, post, port. In the Heroku environment, we have access to this ClearDB database URL. So we can just add that on here, and then we can connect in two different ways. So if we have the ClearDB database URL, so this is a ternary, let me know if you've not seen these before and I can quick demo them again. But if this exists, we're going to create a new serialize with this. If it doesn't exist, we're going to do the old way, which is passing in the name, user, password, host, port, and all that fun stuff. So if I go back here, I can just undo these changes. And there should be, yep, there's another change there. So name, user, password, host, port, database URL. And then if database URL exists, connect to that. Otherwise, connect to this way. And then that's exactly the same as it was. Okay, once we've done that, we git push Heroku master like I did, and then we Heroku logs. And a trick with Heroku logs, if we Heroku logs T, it will actually stare at them and wait for new things to happen. So that is everything up to this point. We can see my post request there. If I put that on this side, bring Postman over here. Okay. So if I do a GET request, send that, I get that, and you can see it's just registered that a request has been made. If I, let's see, I think if I send a delete request to 1, let's see what happens there. And do the GET request. Search returned no results because I deleted it. So there we go. So that is a very quick guide how to deploy on Heroku. As I said, I'll put these slides into the chat. And tonight, if you want to deploy something, we're here to help. It's the most difficult time is the first time because there's usually something that breaks. But yeah, I'll stop the recording now and we'll see if there's any questions.